Top 10 Best TV Shows of 2022 in the World BBC Report. Number 10. This Is Going to Hurt. This Is Going to Hurt is a moving, profoundly significant, and, above all, humorous picture of the British National Health Service, NHS. It is based on retired Dr. Adam Kay's memoir of the same name. Kay provides a complex picture of the working conditions he and many others faced in a busy London hospital's obstetrics and gynecology unit, as well as the terrible toll that long hours and extreme strain take on your life. Kay is portrayed by Ben Whishaw in a masterful portrayal that brilliantly captures the inner conflict of a man who is driven to at least attempt to do the right thing but who doesn't always succeed. The unique thing about this show is that despite Kay not being a particularly pleasant person, you find yourself rooting for him to succeed and sincerely hoping for the best for him, his patients, and his co-workers. The show does not paint a positive picture of the realities of life in British hospitals, and there are some very heartbreaking scenes scattered throughout. But it perseveres with empathy and black humor despite the tragedies, much as healthcare personnel do on a daily basis. Available on BBC iPlayer in the UK and AMC in the US. Number 9. Top Boy. The return of this excellent British drama, which was cancelled by its original UK broadcaster Channel 4 but then picked up by the streamer, via the rapper Drake, who pushed for its revival and is now the show's executive producer, is undoubtedly one of Netflix's few highlights for 2022, despite the company's current financial, critical, and other challenges. It tells a simultaneously densely detailed and narratively compelling story of East London life in its second Netflix series, or fourth overall. It has only gotten better and better, deftly addressing everything from gang crime and drug deals to gentrification, coercive relationships, and immigration policy. The performances are remarkable in their naturalism, especially those of rapper Kano as the brooding Sully, now residing on a canal boat, and Jasmine Jobson as the hard-edged Jack. The way it films East London is harsh and beautiful, capturing its vibe in a way that feels truer than any other movie or television show in recent memory. Number 8. Severance. Even though this psychological thriller is set in an office, it differs greatly from the typical office drama. The principal individuals in Severance work for a shadowy organization named Lumon, whose vast, bare headquarters include dated technology and ominous artwork. The worst of it, though, is not that. The central team here and many Lumon employees have gone through a process called severance, in which you are split into two identities, one within work and one outside work. This means that when you are outside the workplace, you are unable to remember anything that happened inside, and vice versa. The excellent cast also includes Britt Lower, Zach Sherry, Patricia Arquette, Tramail Tillman, and Adam Scott, who plays the everyman Mark in a subtle yet great way. The shining quasi-romantic plotline of John Turturro and Christopher Walken, though, is what makes the series genuinely theirs. Severance, which was developed and created by Dan Erickson and was directed, executive produced, and written by Ben Stiller, deeply unnerves you while keeping you completely fascinated. Number 7. Somebody Somewhere. The semi-autobiographical comedy drama written by a comic, an increasingly common subgenre, see everything from Aziz Ansari's Master of None to Mae Martin's Feel Good, is the subject of this latest vehicle for American stand-up Bridget Everett. However, of all of these attempts, this is one of the best. The story of Everett's Sam, a woman who moved back to Kansas after the death of her sister, is charming and bittersweet. Stuck in a dead-end job and struggling to move on, she finds comfort in a rebellious local choir group, which among other things allows her to use her full-throated singing abilities. Everett, a veteran comics comic, sparkles, her ribald personality pouring off the screen, and she has the ideal opponent in Jeff Hiller, who plays Joel, her co-worker and new best friend. The result is the kind of program that feels so subtly engrossing and the characters so fully realized that you find it hard to believe when it's all over. Available on HBO Max in the US and now in the UK. Number 6. Search Party. Over the course of its 5 seasons, this HBO comedy drama has made fewer noteworthy narrative leaps than most other shows. It began as a sort of Girls Meets Raymond Chandler alt detective drama with Dory, a New York hipster, searching for a missing acquaintance. The show then cycled through different genres, including courtroom drama and toxic fan thriller, before focusing on the cult in this year's final series and ultimately veering into post-apocalyptic zombie horror. However, all of this was underlined by a razor-sharp parody of a particular privileged millennial mindset, in which Dory and her friends unwittingly brought about the end of the world as we know it due to their whimsy, self-involvement, and fundamental lack of purpose. At its core, however, was an astounding, constantly changing performance by Alia Shokit, who is best known for her work on Arrested Development. She transformed Dory into the generation's nightmare voice. Available on HBO Max in the US. Number 5. Pachinko. After a rocky launch, Apple TV Plus has surprised many by becoming the standout streaming service of the year, thanks to a string of critically acclaimed titles like Severance, See Below, spy thriller Slow Horses, and, most highly praised of all, this moving Korean period drama based on the same name book. The tale of Sunja, a young Korean immigrant to Japan who struggles to provide for herself and her child during the course of the majority of the 20th century, is told. Many years later, in the 1980s Osaka, Solomon, her arrogant banker grandson, is taking stock of his heritage. It's not perfect, some of the narrative beats have a touch of clunkiness, but its combination of emotional and intellectual force as it deals with big themes like colonialism, and makes it one of the year's most impressive and resounding achievements. Recent Oscar winner Yoon Young plays the older Sunja. Available on Apple TV Plus internationally. Number 4. Inventing Anna. If the year 2022 on television will be remembered for anything, it may be as the year of the con artist. From the dropout to the Tinder swindler, a wide variety of fiction and non-fiction programs have satisfied the zeitgeist's desire for tales of swindles and deceit. The series created by super producer Shonda Rhimes based on the intriguing story of false heiress Anna Delvey, aka Anna Sorokin, the cunning 20-something who deceived New York society into thinking she was a super-rich German trust fund child, was one of the first to hit the air. It got very mixed reviews overall, but for my money, after some admittedly uninspiring opening episodes, it really takes flight, becoming at once a gripping account of the story of Sorokin's crimes and a sophisticated, postmodern dissection of her invention as a totemic 21st century pop cultural figure, in which of course, this very show itself has played a hand. Available on Netflix internationally. Number 3. Derry Girls. The beloved comedy by Lisa McGee about a group of 4 girls and a little English fella who lived in Derry, Northern Ireland in the 1990s has more than lived up to expectations in its 3rd and final season. It includes, among other things, 18th birthday parties, test results, a wonderful flashback to the lives of their mothers, and, something no 90s TV show would be complete without, a Spice Ladies tribute when the girls mature and drop out of school. The Troubles, a persistent war on the island of Ireland that dominated most of its history in the 20th century, are also being handled skillfully by the country at the same time. The outstanding Siobhan McSweeney as Sister Michael, whose witty one-liners are a delight, complements the 5 protagonists as always. Keep an eye out for a scream-inducing cameo in the series' first episode if you haven't seen it yet. Available on all 4 in the UK and Ireland, and coming to Netflix internationally later in the year. Number 2. Station 11. By depicting the tale of a society destroyed by a virus, this HBO adaptation of Emily St. John Mandel's popular novel, which began in the US at the end of 2021 but ended up this year, thus slips in, sounds like the worst viewing scenario for this time in history. The drama manages to transcend sadness and become a deeply positive work that in fact provides a useful means to help viewers understand recent events. In a way that echoes another HBO classic, The Leftovers, the drama does something exceptional with this bleak-sounding premise. Likewise, don't expect to fully comprehend it as it switches between two timelines, the present day. It can be perplexing at times when the fatal illness first breaks out and 20 years later a troupe of Shakespearean actors tour a devastated planet. However, that is all a part of its creative force, since it is the kind of TV that, despite the recent growth in television programming, still exemplifies the form's almost limitless potential. Available on HBO Max in the US and Stars Play in the UK. Number 1. Stranger Things 4. The new season of Stranger Things is a full-on horror season. As the show's young protagonists mature, so do they, leading to some genuinely terrifying outcomes. This time, they're up against a demon by the name of Vecna, who has a peculiar method of torturing his victims by feeding off of their deepest anxieties. Given that it's the penultimate season, the Netflix sensation has started to tie up loose ends and provide fans with some eagerly expected closure. One of the best things about this season is how it weaves together its major sci-fi plot with the specifics of its characters' day-to-day lives, balancing the trauma of being a teenager with that brought on by the horrific otherworldly entities that reside in Hawkins. Sadie Sink, who plays the bereaved Max, may have given the series' best performance thus far among its large ensemble cast, while Millie Bobby Brown, who plays the beleaguered, superhuman 11, keeps wowing audiences. Stranger Things has maintained its primary appeal as a fun but horrifying 1980s time capsule that keeps you on the edge of your couch, despite being considerably more expensive and expansive than when it first debuted. Available on Netflix internationally,